Well, welcome everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are following us right now. So my name is Hassoum from Senegal. I am also a member of Africa, and I am very pleased today to be moderating this session with Kessia. Kessia, how are you?
I'm fine, and you, Katum?
Ready to start?
Yeah, very well.
Very good. So I'm just going to read the bio of Kessia and then let her go. So Kessia Kiwia is an English teacher at Twiga Primary School in Tanzania. She's also a trainer and an expert involved in the teaching of service English teachers. She is as well a member of ELTA, and ELTA is Tanzanian English Language Teachers Association. Kessia is also a member of ELTA and another dynamic member of TESOL. Kessia as well is a team leader in the Prelim 2 program. So Kessia, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. And I'm sure that you'll make an amazing presentation. Just to remind you that you have like 45 minutes for talk and 15 minutes for question and answers. So Kessia, now the floor is yours. I will just helping you in keeping track of time and taking down notes from the question and answers segment. So if you ready, please, the floor is yours, Kessia.
Okay, thank you so much, Hatum. Thank you for the nice introduction. As you may hear, my name is Kessia Kiwia from East Africa, Tanzania, and I will be with you today to discuss and have a teaching tips on how to teach as an English teacher. But before starting, I would like to remind you guys that Corona is real. Stay safe, sanitize yourself, wash your hands, and if you are in a very congested area, make sure that you wear your mask. So thank you so much and have a wonderful morning, evening, or any kind of session you are. Thank you so much. So today we are going to learn about activities that as a teacher, you're supposed to learn, you're supposed to know. These are teaching tips for activities for teaching reading and writing in a competence-based curriculum. There are so many kind of tips, and these are one from me. And after this, you'll be learning a lot of things, such as you'll be able to describe the interactive reading activities that you can use in a competence-based curriculum. And secondly, you'll be able to learn 3 interactive writing activities that you can use in a curriculum, competence-based curriculum. So let's go and see what are those 5 interactive reading and writing activities. So one is reading Jigsaw Puzzle. We are going to see what is that. But also we are going to have what is your story? And also we'll have Stop the Bus. Number 4, we'll have Story, Pass, and number 5, we'll be having 4 corners. So what is reading Jigsaw Puzzle? Reading Jigsaw Puzzle. As you know, we have Jigsaw Puzzle is an interactive learning that students will learn in groups. There are several groups. We'll be having a home group and expert group. But in this session, we are going to learn on the step-by-step on how to conduct this Jigsaw Puzzle. Step 1 is you'll be write a sentence on the board of the story or procedure of doing something. But remember, write them in out of order, whether it is descending or randomly. After that, you'll be have a student work in pairs. One person is the writer and the other person will be a reader. So here you will tell them. So you're working in pairs, one will be a writer and the other one will be a reader. Then The pair discusses the correct order of the sentence. They will be in pairs somewhere else in different groups, but in pairs, they will discuss the correct order or the correct procedure of that sentences. After that, have the writer in the pair write the step in order. So because they'll be having writer and a reader, so you allow a writer to write the step by step or the order in order or in a sequence of that procedure. After that, have selected the reader of a pair read aloud of the story or procedure. This kind of person, sometimes we call an expert. After that, they will be able to sit down. They will discuss in pairs. They will have their answers. Sometimes they will write it in a chalkboard or in a whiteboard, and sometimes they will write in a piece of paper. And here is my example of reading Jigsaw Puzzle. So this is the story of the angry boy, whereby I wrote it as if I'm talking or I'm just listing that on Monday, the boy ate one apple, but he was still hungry. On Tuesday, the boy ate 2 bananas, but he was still hungry. On Wednesday, the boy ate 3 oranges, but he was still hungry. On Thursday, the boy ate 4 mangoes, but he was still hungry. On Friday, the boy ate 5 pineapples, but he was still hungry. And on Saturday, the boy ate 6 guavas, but he was still hungry. What do they do here? From the list of the days. As a teacher, I will tell them, and you're supposed to tell them to write a story or a description of this angry boy. So they will be in pairs. They will read this listing of days and what the boy was doing during all those days. And after that, they will come up with a story. So it depends on the level of the student, but this is very applicable to all students of all levels, whether the beginners or the intermediate or whatever they are. So even you as a teacher, you're supposed to give them the kind of sequence activity which is very relevant and equal to their level and ability and ability. So from here, they will tell us a story. For example, they will say, maybe one day, the boy ate, or maybe on Monday, the boy ate 1 pineapple, but he was still hungry. Then he decided to opt for another fruit. Then on Tuesday, maybe, he opted to eat 2 bananas to find out if he will still be hungry. But the boy was still hungry. Therefore, he went to his uncle to ask for 3 oranges and looking for what it will be if he will still be hungry. So from this kind of sequencing or descending order, the student will write their story in a very sequencing manner that you can understand. Mind you, because they are learners and maybe they are beginners, they will not be very perfect, but they will try. What a teacher is supposed to do is to help them. Do not leave them alone, but help them to see how they can write in a story manner. So why this and why reading Jigsaw Puzzle? This will help them to interact themselves as learners, but also they will learn to understand one another because they will discuss and they will talk and they will come with the solution that they will find out it is good for them and their ability. But at the end of the lesson, make sure that you do the correction. Do correction as simple as you can make it to let them feel very comfortable. Also, in activities 2, it is what's your story? In what's your story, here, there is a step-by-step instruction that a writer write one paragraph of the story in a chalkboard or flip chart or whatever tool that you're using of the topic of the unit that you are teaching. Make sure that you are teaching, you make the title of the story of the topic that you are going to teach. Don't go outside of the story of the topic. Make sure that your story has the beginning, the middle, but has no end. There is no an end of that story. Then make sure the story includes vocabulary and the grammar of that particular unit or topic that you're going to teach. Then leave blank lines in the story for the vocabulary words and for grammar. After that, have students work in pairs to rewrite the story and complete the missing words. Lastly, select a student who will read aloud the story to complete the missing blanks and words that a student will write. So here is one example that I want you guys to try. Here is my story, and I leave to you, Katum, to let our viewers write if they can be able to write. Our topic is about weather, and the title is Two Trees Talking. So from this two trees talking, there are some missing words that we are supposed to put in so that to complete this sentence. Can you please try in the chat box to answer what exactly or what do you think we can add so that our story can relate to the weather? Back to you, Katum. Do we have anybody who maybe try to answer? Okay. Maybe there is one or two who started and we can see it later. So from this kind of exercise, a student will try. Sometimes they will make a mistake or they will do it perfect because the topic is weather and maybe they know a lot of vocabulary of the topic, weather. Maybe they will try to answer our questions. So let me show you how my answers are, and if you get it right or you at least attempt one or two questions. So here it is. In the forest, two tall trees are talking. It is sunny day. One said, "May I ask you a question?" "Certainly," said the tree. "I know you have traveled everywhere. However, I have never been out of the forest. So my question is, can you tell me about some interesting places?" "Sure." There are the other tree said, "but it couldn't because suddenly the wind blew and then it became cloudy and it started raining." So from this story, there is the beginning that the two trees were talking somewhere there. And the middle, that one tree is asking where a friend was traveling and how some interesting, to show how he can tell or she can tell some interesting places. But before other trees saying the interesting places, the wind blew, and then the cloud came, and then the rain started. So there is no an end of this story. We don't know if the rain make the flood, the rain was heavy so that we had a flood, or the rain was few and the story continued. We don't know. But here, the student will answer from the missing words that from the missing words that you let them write. Then you will see whether they got it right according to the topic of weather or wrong. This kind of learning helps a student to increase or to add more vocabulary as well as grammar rules. As you know, we don't want to let our students, our learners, follow the rules every time, but sometimes they correct themselves when they are talking. So through talking and writing, they will correct themselves and they will add more vocabulary, as well as they increase, they will have the morale of writing, because you let them write a very short story, and sometimes the story will be, maybe we'll create a book from the story, or a very short one that increase the morality of reading and writing. Next is another one is stop the bus. Here, I like this kind of learning because it is very interactive and students are well engaged. Here, a writer write a letter on the board and say, start the bus. Have a student work in a small groups. As you can see, my all activities are in groups. So it is good to make them in groups so that they can interact themselves. And you will lose less energy to teach them. They will learn within the lesson. So have the student work in small groups and write down as many words, begin with the letter as they can think of. After a couple of time or minutes, say stop the bus. Then let the group to contain their words and give themselves 1 point for each word on their list. Then have one member of the group with the most words on their list come up and write the words on the board. Go over punctuation and spelling. Repeat steps with other letters of the alphabet. If it is the alphabet, repeat the same steps with other letters. So let's see how they can have a lot of vocabulary. For example, you, my fellow viewers, you can write, may you please use the letter B to write as many words as you can, and then we can see who wrote the most words that have that started with the letter B. For example, here is my example. This is an example of my lesson in the curriculum to review parts of the speech or vocabulary. So as a teacher, I said, think of the verb that begins with letter B. Then I said, start the bus. I'll give them maybe 5 to 7 minutes to write. All letters that begin with letter B. And my viewers, if you can be able to write as many words as you can that start with the letter B.
Here we have
okay.
Baby birthday, birthday, bus, baby bus, baby, baby, background.
Wow, excellent. A lot of, like mine
words.
here. Thank you so much. So as mine here, mine here, be, become, bring, believe, buy, break, breathe, begin, belong, bite, blue, blow, breathe, boil, bow, borrow, bounce, bite, use. So the group who are very active, they will write as many words as they can. And because you let them speak out and write on a chalkboard or whatever kind of writing tool that you're using, you'll be looking on the spelling and pronunciation. So within that activities on the stop the bus, they will learn how to write the words as well as how to pronounce the words. So the class will be more interactive and they will learn, they will like the lesson because you let them do and participate. Also, another activity is story pass. I like this activity very much. In story pass, here is the step-by-step instruction. One is put up a picture or a first sentence of a story as a writing prompt. My writing prompt here, as you can see, is it was a dark and stormy night. Then, because you have already having the groups, so divide, let them be in their small groups. Divide students into small groups. Have them create a story from that prompt. So can you create the story from my prompt, please? Have each student in the group take turn writing one sentence to add the story and then pass it to the next student. Then have them continue to pass the story around until they finish the story. Not finish the story until maybe if the class is very few, the number are very few, until the last student. Then give them a time limit so that the story don't get too long. Have selected students read in their groups story. So maybe from my prompt story, first sentence story, it was a dark and stormy night. There will be a lot of words and sentences and phrases that a student will write. And you'll be able to understand the kind of class that you're teaching. So as a teacher, let them write. Let them write the story until the last number that you have chosen. And mind you, don't let the story become too long, it will be bored. So make that as short as you can so that it can be more interactive and interesting to all the students. Okay, here is the example of writing prompts. My topic was past and future events. So the writing prompts are maybe one spring day, a monkey walked into our classroom. The other one is one morning, I woke up and discovered I had a superpower. The other one is Dr. Strange was mixing chemicals in his lab when suddenly there was an explosion. So from this prompt, student will write a long and very interesting story that you as a teacher, you will like it. So let the students do it. Don't write on behalf of them. Just let them write. There will be some mistakes. You'll be there to correct and guide them, but let them do so that they can learn from the hands-on activities. The other one is 4 corners. This is the last one. 4 corners. Or the step-by-step instruction will say that ask students to take out a piece of paper and fold the paper in half. So they will fold it in half. Demonstrate folding the paper in half again, making 4 corners. So they will fold it again. Ask students to put information in each corner of the paper. For example, short answer to questions, complete answer to question, short dictation and the illustration. So let's see the example of 4 corners. This is one of the example of 4 corners. I have 1 corner that is illustration. The second one is sentence. The third one is definition. And the fourth one is vocabulary word. For example, I use the word desk. So have a student draw a picture of a desk in the first corner, upper left. So here in number 1, upper left corner, they'll draw. If they know that kind of the word or the vocabulary that you have shown them, they will write or illustrate that kind of the vocabulary. Then have students write the word desk in the second corner, upper right, here. And in the third one, have students write in Swahili. I said here in Swahili because our native language here in Tanzania is Swahili, but you can let them write in the other language, but I don't like to use Swahili or other language that is direct translation, or let them define. So I said, write in Swahili or define the word desk in the third corner, lower left corner here. Then the last is say the sentence. For example, this is my desk. So if a student will be able to say the sentence, here we'll show that a student is understanding the vocabulary through writing, writing the word through drawing, then writing its word, defining its meaning, as well as making a sentence. From this, the student will be able to interact as well as to understand what you are teaching, and also they will love the language and they will love the lesson too. You'll be using the least amount of effort in your teaching. So I'm encouraging you teachers to let the student be competent in any competence-based curriculum, so that the student will be the part, the one who determine their destiny of learning, and you'll be the guider. You'll be facilitating them instead of teaching them, constructing them, forcing them to do something which they don't like. So this kind of learning is very interactive, and I'm encouraging you teachers to use this kind of activities so that your lessons and session be more interactive and activity. Thank you guys for your time, and I'm welcoming you for any question or elaboration or anything to add, so that we can have a clear picture of what you're supposed to do in our classes. Back to you, Kasum.
Well done, Kessia. This was a really, really great presentation with a really interesting input. And I do hope that people took down lots of notes. And just very quick questions I took in the Q&A answer segment was like this. The first one was about the activity, what is your story? And somebody asked, is it possible to put beginning and end, and then ask students to find adequate middle of the story? This question is from John. So Pierre John wanted to know, in this particular activity of what's your story, is it possible to just give a beginning and an end and ask students to put adequate middle for the story?
Yes, it is very possible. It is all about you, teacher, to play all parts. You have to understand your students. If they are very good in determining things or understanding things, so make it more difficult. So you can give them maybe middle and end, and let them think about where to start, or giving them the beginning and the last, and let them think of what is the middle of the sentence. Yeah.
Thank you, Kessia. And let's go for the other question raised by Mr. Kamara. It is related to the activity Story Pass. He asked whether we can create a story by giving the students the first sentence at prompt. Is it possible to create a story by just giving the first sentence to the students and let them compute?
Yes, it is very possible. Very possible.
All right. And the other question is from Robert, and still with the Story Pass activity. He wanted to know, what do the other students do when others are writing?
Okay, because this is the group activities, so you will choose. Maybe the, one group will have their Story Pass and the other group will have their own Story Pass and the other group too. But in the end, you will let them share what their story is all about. So don't let them be idle while others, they are writing their story.
Yes. The last question now is about the activity four corners.
Yes.
Yes. There is somewhere where you explain about the vocabulary. So this one would like to have more details about that particular step about explaining the vocabulary. What do you mean by that?
When you say when you put maybe a picture or when you give them a word, that means that word is maybe difficult to them, and you want them to define what exactly it is. So that word is the vocabulary. So you let them write the vocabulary word that they are supposed to illustrate or to define or to make a sentence.
Thank you very much, Kessia, for your relevant answers. And there's another question from Cherno. He wanted to know, how can we really teach young learners through pictures? Do you have any tips for teaching young learners through pictures? I'm quite sure that he wanted to know, how can we really teach young learners through pictures?
It is very easy and very interactive because young learners love pictures. So maybe you can display pictures that has no words. Maybe, for example, a ball. You put a picture of a ball in a wall and you let them look and see and try. You just let the student try to think, what is that? Sometimes they will make a mistake saying that this is the round shape, or this is something maybe fufu or ugali at home, and then you try to make a sentence that help a student to know this is not a round shape, but this is something that people used to play with it. Or you show in a role play, you kick a ball, something like you want to kick a ball. So through that, a student will remember that thing that we used to kick when we are playing is a ball. So he will understand, a student will understand direct that this is a ball. So whether it is a netball ball or basketball, but the ball is the ball. So after that, then you describe what kind of a ball that you wanted him or her to understand.
All right, perfect. And really awesome explanation. And another question is from Amira. She wanted to know, now, what can we do when we have light classes? Is it easy to do these activities with light class groups?
It is not very easy, but a teacher needs to spare a time and dedicate him or herself. So divide them in group. Let them be, let the group one do first activity maybe in a day. Then the second group, the third group will do it in the other day. Through all those procedure, the student will learn, will be learning and change and having the more vocabulary and other things. For example, on Monday, I'll have maybe 3 groups. So the other group will participate through those groups who are presenting. So from those groups, those who are not presenting, they will learn from the others. Then when the time comes, they will be more interactive and maybe the class will be more easy compared to the first one.
Relevant. That's relevant. Very relevant. Yeah. We still go with questions. Hope that you're not so tight. This one is from Samba Balde. He wanted to know whether it is possible to ask students to prepare any story which they are passionate about, or show them maybe an old picture and ask them to tell about it.
When we want them to prepare, it's very good, but what we want is to see if they can write on their own with the limited time. So sometimes when you write with a lot of time, you have a time to go look for a dictionary sometimes, or asking parents and whoever is at home. But when they are in a very limited time, they'll be able to think and do. So this kind of activities also increase critical thinking and decision making. So sometimes a teacher, you have to let the student write in a very limited time, so that you can know that they have their vocabularies, or they understand the lesson that you want them to do. So to write at home is good because you have a very maybe long story, but sometimes let them write in a very limited time, so that you can assess how best they have their vocabulary and how good they are able to write.
Thank you, Kessia. And we still have a long list to go with another question. Yeah. This one is from Mahamba. He said, if the class has many slow learners, how would you support them, especially in the linguistic skills in competence-based manner?
Thank you. We don't call them slow learners. We call them students with difficulties. So because you are a teacher and you know your class, so don't let them be alone. When you are creating the group, make sure that you put those fast learners and those who are slow or not slow with the difficult interact. So make them interact so that they can see how their fellow learners learn, and through that they will change.
Yeah, fabulous. With this answer again, I think Mahamba has got the right answer. Another question is raised by Waskiran. It says, how can teachers assess these activities to make sure that learners are to meet the objectives of the lesson?
Okay, so the assessment are two. First, the interaction between learners during the process of learning. But secondly, the time that you let them write. So during the writing, and because you are giving them less time, so they will write maybe the proper words, or they will do some mistakes. So from those mistakes is where you can correct them. So the assessment of writing will be very good taken in the class, and the student will learn. Will understand easily because you let them do. Please, teachers, make the students do on their own. Don't help them by writing. Don't write. You are not supposed to write. Let them write.
Yeah, we have another contribution before we get with the next question. It is from Mr. Narao. He said that differentiation is part of competence-based teaching. So what comment would you make on that?
Differentiation
is part of competency-based teaching.
Sure, because when a student able to differentiate things, a student is able to think critical, and if a student think critical and show reasoning, is where a competence-based learning takes place. So I agree with him that differentiation is one of the competence-based learning.
Yeah, another question with Matthias. We just have got still time to go for questions because we're supposed to end at 7 sharp. So it is 20 to 7. So another question by Matthias. He wanted to know if the story can be related to students' everyday life, and how can we have a classroom management?
If the story related to a student life, well, it's good because the experience will be good, but make sure that that story cannot create another environment. There is a time that you let a student write a story and find all classes crying because the story is too sad. So please, when you let the student write the story, make sure that the story will be, put the topic that will be of their interest and create learning and not sympathy or some sort of sadness.
Yeah, well done, Kessia. Well done. Still have another question to answer. This time it is from Mansour. He wanted to know if it is important to nominate students. Do you have any strategy to keep students' names in like classes?
As a teacher, one characteristic of a good teacher is to know all your students' names. So sometimes you can choose a student, but make sure that not repetitive. Do it randomly from different corners of your class. That will create a sense of the student will feel that they are part and parcel of their learning. But if you choose or you select one side or one student, other students will see that they are not in that boat that you are teaching.
Yes, thank you, Kessia, again. So I'm trying hard to forward you the question as I can, but I can see also you are doing your best to respond as much as you can. So another question is from Amira. She asked, what challenges did you face in doing these activities? Were all students motivated to do them? Did you manage to have all the students motivated into doing the task you was asked them to do? What challenges did you face?
One challenge is because of the large number of our students. So it is very difficult to monitor all at once. So sometimes it takes a time, and you as a teacher, you have to be very patient with your students and be creative so that you can't create a boredom class. So that is the big challenge. But otherwise, my students like the lessons all the time, and they want to participate because this enables them to feel that they are part of the learning, and through that, they feel comfortable learning the new language. As you know, in Tanzania, Swahili is a media of instruction, especially in primary school.
Yeah, Kessia, I wanted just to tell you that people are, so much interested in your topic that you receive this great quantity of questions because they are all eager to know more about these very relevant activities. It's a real interesting input. Well, another question is by Pierre. He said, asking students to do a survey on a given topic and commenting before the class, can it be a way to boost their speaking and writing skills?
Yes, because in survey, you let a student write what they think about maybe, or what they saw in a particular thing that you let them look at. So through their opinions, this is where you let them maybe, if you let them write, it is good because you let them write what they think of. And if you let them speak, it is good because you, as a teacher, you create an environment where students speak as much as they can. So teachers, it's good to use survey because to me, I think critical thinking is very emphasized there.
Yes, that's it. You have talked the talked. And so far, and another question before we part, it is from Matches. That how can we warm up for teaching story? I should like to know type of lesson. How could we do the warm up when we want to teach a story?
Okay. Sometimes you can have, you can display different vocabulary in your chat box, in your chalkboard, a different vocabulary according to the story that you want them to say, to write. So through those vocabulary, the student will be able to maybe define or explain or draw, and sometimes maybe brainstorm. Through those activities is where you derive the attention of writing the story.
Another question. Also, remember, people are following you in Facebook, and also they wanted to have their part of the slice of the cake. So they are asking to forward their questions. And the one is, how do you assist shy students so that they can speak during the class session? This is a question. How do you assist shy students so that they can speak during the class session?
Speaking is by let them do. Let them, for example, by using four corners. From the vocabulary that you display on the chalkboard, on the blackboard or chalkboard, is where the student will understand that this kind of vocabulary needed to be illustrated, needed to be defined, needed to be written as a sentence, and sometimes definition. So from there, a student is needed to be active on doing such kind of activity. If one student do it and the other one read from his or her fellow, is where they can understand, okay, this kind of vocabulary is written like this, is drawn like this. And if they are 5, let them be in a group of 5. So the participation still happen there.
Yes. Another question is raised somewhere from Joseph. He said, how would you extend these activities for groups which finish early or before others?
Before starting any group activities, you have to have housekeeping rules. Make rules of your classes that don't make noise. If you finish, just be silent or read in a silent manner, or repeat it to see how correct and how good your work is. But you have to wait until your fellows finish so that you can present it together. So through those rules and housekeeping, the student will abide. And if you let them know those rules and housekeeping, your student will be, they'll be timekeepers and be responsible in any activities that they will do in their classes. So we'll be also not only teaching the language, but also you are teaching responsible decision-making and management skills.
Yes, definitely relevant. Still going with the questions, and I think this is the last one on the list. It's from Mahamba. He wanted to know whether you sometimes give the rubrics for the students to assess your teaching.
Yes, I always prepare my rubrics. For example, you can say, did the student able to write a sentence clearly? How many of they? Then you see maybe 5 to 10 students wrote it very well. Or another rubric, maybe look on their participation. So you look on the student participation. The other thing is maybe look on how they pronounce and how they write. Also, maybe classroom management, how the class is and how they manage themselves, and how, as a teacher, do I manage very well so that the student understands the topics? So those are such a kind of rubrics that I prepare.
Well, thank you, Kessia, for all the questions you tried hard to answer. It shows how real relevant is your topic. And people are not tired to fire you with question. Another question with Matthias. He wanted to know, what are the characteristics of a good English language teacher?
Oh, from my perspective, good English teacher should be, he or should be a good listener and very patient, because in Africa, the language to many of us is the second language. If you don't be patient, the students will never understand you. But read as many articles, develop yourself, engage yourself in learning careers development, so that you can be competent in this world. That is characteristics of an English teacher, maybe I can say that.
Yeah, fabulous. This is really awesome, Kessia. You have done a great job so far, because we have just like 7 minutes left. But before we quit, we have another question from the Facebook community. Jackson Kamugisha wanted to know, for example, what if learners are not conversant enough with the use of English language? So what would you do despite all these, facilitating activities for learning? What would you do if those students are not very conversant with English?
It is impossible. Whenever you let them interact, they will be convinced. The problem of us teachers, we always see that students can't do, but if you let them participate in any hands-on activities, they will be convinced in learning. Learners like to be engaged. Learners love to be, you have to appreciate what they have. And through that, they will participate in learning, regardless of the time, regardless of the environment, regardless of the limitation that we are facing.
Yes, we don't want to let you go because there's another, okay, yes. Yes, I was like receiving a question from the Facebook community, but I think you have already answered it. It is the very last one that you said. Maybe it's my turn now to ask a question.
Yeah.
Right, so what I wanted to know is just very simple. Can we, to which level those activities you have just mentioned could be used for? Beginners or?
The good thing that all those activities are very good to all kinds of levels. All you have to do is to twist the language. If they are beginners or those in kindergarten or in primary school, use as simple language as you can, and let them maybe create a very short story as they can, but don't let them be limited with your learners. Let them write as many words as they can, and you will be surprised to find that your learners are very good in writing if you let them write.
It is really fantastic, Kessia. You deserve a round of applause for all the efforts you have provided, and especially for accepting to share with us your experience through Africa ELTA webinar series. So we thank you a lot, and we are very happy to have you around. And we also hope that we'll be having you very soon in our next session. So any final words before we let you go?
Thank you so much, Africa ELTA, for letting me say something to this platform and to share those tips to teachers around the world, around Africa. But I wish you teachers all the best in our teaching career. But please remember to develop yourself in your career so that you can be a competent teacher, a global teacher. Whenever you're supposed to go and be assigned a task of teaching, you'll be good and ready to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kessia. Thank you, dear participants from everywhere in the world. So we just wrap up and say maybe next time with Africa ELTA, with another teacher, another topic, and bye-bye for now. Thank you very much, Kessia. And also we wish you happy holidays, you all.
Thank you. Happy holiday to you all.